Yeah.
It's just an observation, just something to think about.
No, no. I mean, no. It's a perfect valid a critique.
We're all ganging up on Ben.
I'm not.
This is one of those videos where they're talking about something that I don't have very much on-hand knowledge of, the Sonic games. I know of Sonic, but I don't really know anything specific. The idea of a werewolf Sonic thing sounds kind of dumb to me. But
no, wait, what?
But yeah, it's very good. It's similar to the Video Game Nerds videos, except it's more of an actual review that really details the game. Good work.
The review starts a little bit negative, but when he got into the actual review of the game itself, he did pretty much start with the stuff that was good about it.
Let me ask you something. Do you mind overviews? Because I tend to like overviews, especially if I don't have particular.
No, I don't.
knowledge.
No. In fact, in this case, I think it really needed it, especially because he did a lot of comparison to the ones that were decent. I just think that it was really smart of him no, I think that was actually really smart of him to do. It's just that, Vince said that he started a little bit negative at the beginning, but the negative thing was it's not that good of a game. But like, that's not a negative thing about the game. It's just it's crappy. Well, we probably know it's crappy because you entered it into this particular challenge, and so I don't have a huge problem with that. It's okay. I thought it was really, really good, and I thought that it was a giant improvement over last week. This is the first time in this contest, including his entry video, that I've seen him be really critical about something, and he's great at it, and I want more. Now, part of this, I suppose, is that I agree with him. That I agree with everything he says. I played this game for the first time about 3 weeks ago, and so I really kind of appreciated this. Yeah, he was totally right about the things that worked and the things that didn't, and everything that he said about like the regular Sonic levels being really fun, but then there weren't enough of them, and the werehog thing was awful. I played this thing for an hour and a half and gave up on it, so I thought it was a good pick. I appreciated all the screenshots. I don't feel like a video game review has to necessarily have gameplay footage.
I also really enjoyed this review. I thought there was a couple of them this week, and this is one of them, that did a really good job of pointing out what's good. Like you almost forget that you're watching a review. Like, he's like, this is really good, and this is why it's really good, and you're like, and why does it suck? And then you're like, oh, that's why it sucks. It's almost like a magic trick. Like, you get their attention over here, and then they're like, and then it's over here. I thought the screen caps worked well. Sometimes screen caps I don't think work as well with the video game review. It really depends on how it's being used, but I thought it worked really well here. And I thought he made a lot of really good critical points, and I liked the overview at the beginning. I think Sonic is something that you kind of have to be like, here's where I stand on everything leading into it. Because it's one of those things that's kind of polarizing to begin with. So getting out his opinion on everything out of the way quickly, I thought was a good move. I thought this was really well done.
Well, I'm one for overviews myself. I really like the idea that he set up the review and he kind of gave a brief, it wasn't long, but a brief enough overview of the games that had come out before that. Because, not everybody knows Sonic, and I'm a Nintendo guy myself. I grew up with Mario, so I was always the kid that the other kids looked at and said, oh, you don't know Sonic? I have played this game, though, and I think he makes all valid points. Granted, I don't think I played for the hour or so that Captain Logan spent. I mean, I think he stuck very well at commenting at what he didn't like about the game, but still, I think keeping it unbiased, and he was able to put in bits about it. And what I liked about it, too, that he compared it to other things and said, okay, they really could have just left this out altogether. It could have been a really good Sonic. And I like the way that he wraps the review then up. If you didn't like this particular entry, you still have options beyond this game. It's not totally wrong. And so I like the fact that he looks at it as an entry. So I think it was a really good review of a mediocre game.
Now we're going to go on to the Evil Professor's review of the DC Universe Shark. And I just can't say that with a straight face.
Now, I really only see the world in, maybe 12 to 16 colors. But I know that you don't mix purple and orange. Right? No answer. That's okay. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to. Now, in terms of articulation, it's going to be very similar to most DC Universe figures. So the arm, we can rotate all the way around, and it can move up. The arm can rotate here at the bicep. We've got the one joint for the elbow, so we can move that back, forwards and backwards. And the hand is going to rotate at the wrist.
Go ahead, Vince.
I was not aware that all sharks had human legs and arms. The DC universe has strange sharks. He's so casually sure of himself, and that's a good thing.
It's because he's evil.
I thought it was because he was a professor.
That's redundant. Anyway, I find this guy fascinating and the way he presents himself on off camera, really. I mean, it's just his hands. And so it's just interesting, the personality. He 100% satisfies the requirement of this particular challenge. He discusses great details with the head of the figure. He really gets into why that is a good thing. But he kind of glosses over the detail of the body. All he really says about the body is that it's a standard body and that there are fins attached to it. But what makes it standard? Now, maybe it's because I'm not a toy reviewer that maybe this stuff is just commonplace. We all know this stuff by now within the toy reviewing community, but I don't. And I was interested to hear what he would have to say about what could have been better if it could have made it a non-standard body, and what could they have done to match the body to the head better. Something that I've always been a little perplexed by is he shows us all the articulation, but I'm not sure why the articulation is or is not important to the overall figure. I understand it makes it for good posing, but I'm just curious as to how the articulation relates to what he's trying to say about this particular figure. And I'm not a toy reviewer, so I'm just making observations and being curious. By the end of the review, he started to repeat himself, and now maybe that was supposed to be a conclusion. And now, as a closing thought, I still like his word choice. I love this guy's dynamic. He also calls the boots that the character's wearing, he calls them booties. This guy cracks me up.
Manos.
This was the only choice by all the reviewers that actually made me laugh when I saw the product. It's such a ridiculous figure. Now, I consider myself a fairly knowledgeable DC fan. I'm not familiar with this guy at all. I assume he fights Aquaman or something like that. Eric,
My guess is he's not a real person.
I have no idea who he is either. I was like, thank God we got this guy an action figure, because
I know who needs the other characters.
Because the question had to wait for like 12 lines before he got a figure, but thank God we got Shark.
I know, Shark. DC Universe Classics. There should have been quotations around that. But anyway, I've never heard of this guy. He looks like a big goldfish on top of like this purple suit or something like that. Oh, by the way, one quick note. I love his little like small intro where it just says "evil professor" and then you hear his laugh. I haven't mentioned that before, but I do enjoy the kind of delicate way he kind of picks it apart here and there. I used to collect figures hardcore a few years ago, and I'm glad I don't anymore, because I mean, that's the killer at the end, where he says that you have to buy this because if you want to make a Kilowog figure. You know, I like Kilowog. If I was still collecting, I would want that figure. It's like, oh, I have to get this so I can have the leg. That's so annoying. And he puts it next to it as well. I thought that was a good point to do so. And it just looks so much like a better figure. But in closing, I'd like to say he does a pretty good job picking apart this fish man who's apparently a big Prince fan.
I think he talked a full 2 minutes about things that seemed okay until he got what was really awful. Like if I was just watching this outside of this challenge, I'd be like, why does this guy like this crappy looking shark figure? Like, and it was cool because he's right. I mean, like the head is okay. I mean, you know, there's okay stuff with it. And then all of a sudden, he comes right out and he's like, having said all that, I mean, look at it. It's really bad. And I don't know.
This one was really doing the misdirection I said before, where it was.
That's what I was getting at, right? He's really good at balancing humor with doing a good review. Considering he's doing this off the cuff, his organization is very good. He's like hit a mark, be serious, tell you the thing that you want to know, and then tell a joke, or vice versa. You know, sometimes he'll tell a joke, and that will be a lead-in into an important point he's going to make. I really like that. He had some really subtle irony. You know, it was really nice of Mattel to do this thinking for me, so I didn't have to. I really appreciated that. And then at the end when he was like, well, I guess if you really want the Kilowog, you know, you could look around on the internet, but I don't know a lot of people who would buy this and get rid of that piece because it's a shark. He did everything right.
I also really like this. I was going to bring up that comment about eBay where he was like, I don't know who would buy this, but like, yes, I got the shark, and then just give rid of the Kilowog piece. I like, again, you said, I really like the kind of misdirection where he was like, here's all these good things, and like I was like, yeah, this is a pretty good figure, and then he's like, but it sucks. And I was like, oh, it does. The one complaint I had was that he complains about how it's just very standard, just has the fins, but he didn't give, like, what would have made it more interesting. He just said it's bad as it is, and I was like, well, what does Shark look like? What could they have done to make Shark more comic book accurate? What? I don't know.
I really got the sense that he meant that they should have just not made the thing.
Oh, well, clearly, they should not have made the thing. I've seen a number of toy reviews in my day, and I thought this was quite good.
I was just going to say, having never reviewed a toy, I'm kind of walking into this a little in the dark. Actually, I hate to admit it, I have this figure. And I also had the leg for Kilowog. I
was
made
going to say,
sure
did
the
you
leg
sell
was
the
included.
Kilowog? Did you sell the Kilowog leg?
No, I kept the Kilowog, and I put it together with the other pieces to make Kilowog. You know what? Review aside, it is a horrible figure. It's based off a very obscure character. He's actually a Green Lantern villain.
Oh,
Of all
Oh.
things.
okay.
Yeah, he debuted in the 60s, and actually, the character used to look like this with the purple. I want to say it looks like the Wonder Twins. You know, if the Wonder Twins had some mutant goldfish pet. But that's basically what it looked like, and it's mutated since then. But Evil Professor's review was very refreshing. It's very hard to review a toy and to still mix humor in it because ultimately the real gag is the fact that you're an older collector who's reviewing a toy. He manages to talk about what he likes about the figure, what he doesn't like, and he still mixes in the humor that it doesn't seem forced. I mean, you can watch so many reviewers and you can see that they're trying to throw humor in it no matter, how hard they have to try at it. And it seems like Evil Professor is very natural at what he does. The only gripe I would make, if I could make any gripe about his, just the fact that I watch his videos, it doesn't seem too outside of what he normally reviews. But what it would have been nice, though, is to kind of see him review something outside of his norm. Because he normally reviews like these kind of figures. It would have been really nice to see him review something similar to what Mr. Corellian did, or Mr. Fusion, where it was something outside of their realm. I think he did a good job.
Now we go on to the G-Man of EAP's Star Wars Episode 1 review.
After hacking through dozens of droids, Qui-Gon decides that they should stow away on a Trade Federation ship so that they can warn the Naboo. Now, if you've seen these ships, which I'm assuming you have because these are huge movies, there is no room for anything other than a droid to fit on these ships, especially a fleshy human. Aside from that, what happens if they would have gotten caught? There's no one to back them up. I'm assuming maybe they could have hacked through a dozen more droids, but maybe not. Furthermore, how do they even know these ships are going to Naboo?
And Vince, go ahead.
I said it last time, and I'll say it again this time. I really think the G-Man of EAP needs to be scripted. But I don't think that he has the improv abilities like Mr. Corellian or the Evil Professor to be able to sit there in front of a camera and just give what he really believes about this. I would have appreciated a second take. I think that part of the problem with this review is that it feels like he just sat down and then started talking. I mean, you don't necessarily need edits within your material, but I think that I would have appreciated if he'd just taken a time to sit down and say, what do I really want to say about this movie? And that's not me trying to be mean. It seems like it's extremely scatterbrained. He is analytical to some extent, but he doesn't command any attention. Because personally, I started to get tired watching this. I mean, it's not like I was running wind sprints when I was watching this. I was trying to focus. But,
you shouldn't exercise while you watch these things.
But he is analytical, and I do appreciate that he tried to break down the movie. But he just didn't command any attention. He stammered. He was hesitant. He doesn't seem to have much confidence other than right at the beginning or right at the end. Maybe I shouldn't bring it up, but he does quote Red Letter Media at times, who I don't know if you guys know who Red Letter Media is.
I was going to bring that up too.
But, and it's okay if he does quote Red Letter Media, but he needs to at least say Red Letter Media said this. That bothered me. Because there are some things like I thought the could have just hung up on you joke was really effective. But then I started questioning, was that Red Letter Media? I don't know. He says that he doesn't hate Jar Jar, but he gives good reasons to hate Jar Jar, which I think is funny. He says he's annoying and all the other characters acknowledge that he's annoying. Well, that's not necessarily a reason not to hate Jar Jar. He jumped all over the movie. he had too much that he wanted to say, and if he was scripted, it would have just been effective use of time. And also, he needs to slow down and enunciate because he slurs his words together as he's doing this video.